what's up guys? Welcome to Found Flicks. On this Ending Explained, we'll be checking out the seemingly unofficial entry in the Conjuring universe, The Curse of La Llorona, where the ghost of legend stalks the night in 1970s Los Angeles in hunt of children, setting her sights on the family of a social worker, drawing them into her supernatural realm. Now, when I say seemingly unofficial entry, up until the release, Warner Brothers insisted that this wasn't technically set in the Conjuring universe, despite the appearance of Annabelle's father Perez in the trailer. I thought, I don't know, maybe they cut out all the overt references to the other movies or something like that. But when I saw the movie, it's very clear that it is connected, with Perez even specifically referencing his encounters with Annabelle. This made me wonder why they would try and hide this fact at first, and all I can think is that they were worried this would be a bomb and tarnish the consistent profits we've seen with the Conjuring universe, reaching higher than ever with the last entry, The Nun. Understandably, there's a lot more on the line cash-wise in this case, and I can see why they might be worried about this bombing, but ended up doing just fine, opening at #1 with nearly $30 million and costing only a measly $9 million. It was an instant success. The funny thing being, if they had played up the Conjuring connection, it probably would have grossed a heck of a lot more. Oh well, nothing wrong with playing it safe, I guess. And no matter what we were led to believe, this is part of the Conjuring universe. If you're one of those that likes to keep track of where this lines up chronologically with the other entries, it's after the first Conjuring and possibly after the upcoming Annabelle Comes Home, taking place in 1973. Though beyond a few references to the events of Annabelle and the reappearance of Father Perez, it doesn't really connect to the others in any substantial way. If you're not familiar with the original folktale that inspired the film, be sure to check out my video covering one of the many versions of the original Weeping Woman story and the real-life background to the character, one that has terrified children across the world into behaving, or else La Llorona will come for them. Here the character has been giving a modern horror spin, a spooky specter in a white wedding gown with ever-present black tears and a love for the jump scare. As has become expected from the Conjuring series, they are never very visceral or gory, relying more on atmosphere and classic jump scares to provide its frights. In this sense, The Curse of La Llorona reminded me of The Nun, which was more or less a fun house of scares for 90 minutes with little regard to anything like characterization or story. And La Llorona follows the same mold established there, relying heavily on jump scare based scenarios. So it does work in that sense, and I actually do like their specific take on the infamous spirit of legend. The character itself is a worthy enough ghoul on its own. So if you're looking for a whole bunch of people wandering around in dark and spooky hallways, calling out for some other random person, then eventually Llorona pops out from behind a mysteriously moving curtain or whatever, this is the movie for you. Alright, let's check out The Curse of La Llorona, breaking down the movie, how it does connect to the Conjuring universe, including another connection that was deleted from the film's ending, and explaining the ending, which I feel sets us up for a potential sequel. We begin with the initial incident that gave the Weeping Woman her name. In the most frightening scene of the movie, unfortunately also the first scene. Two boys present their mother with a pendant necklace, which she promises to cherish forever, the necklace becoming of even more importance down the line. The family is seen dancing and initially happy, until one of the boys wakes up one day discovering everyone gone, and searching through the forest comes to his mother drowning his brother in a river. He tries to escape, only to be grabbed by her and taken to the river as well. This opening sequence showing us the main version of the Weeping Woman folktale, where in a fit of blind rage after her marriage crumbled, a mother drowned both of her children, then herself. But death wasn't the end for her, as we know, and her spirit lingers long after her death in 1673, lurking in the shadows and claiming other children for hundreds of years, always weeping for her children she lost. As we jump forward to Los Angeles 1973, meeting social worker Anna, who lives a hectic life as a single mother taking care of her two children, Chris and Sam. Her husband, a police officer that died in the line of duty. At work, she overhears the discussion of a woman, Patricia's case, a mother with two boys of her own. Anna is assigned Patricia's case and is concerned to learn that her boys have been missing from school for a few days, and she convinces her boss to let her investigate the matter. Bringing an officer to her apartment, Patricia looks especially frightened and concerned, mentioning that she's been hearing sounds of a weeping woman, and is initially unwilling to let them inside. But turns out she has no other choice and is forced to grant them access. Anna searches the apartment, eventually finding her two kids locked in a closet with several symbols scrawled on the outside door, and Patricia does not want her to open it, even attacking Anna to keep her away from it, but with the officer's help she is subdued. On the surface, it looks like Patricia has been abusing her children, but when the kids beg to stay in the closet, it seems there's more going on than it would appear. And of course, we know that Patricia's family and her children are obviously targets of La Llorona, and Patricia is doing her best to protect them from the spirit. But of course, Anna has no idea about any of this. And it's actually unfortunately thanks to her seemingly saving them that puts the kids back on the spirit's radar. Taken to the hospital, they notice strange burn marks on both of the boys' arms, seemingly further evidence of abuse. But this actually means they have been marked by the spirit, and she is now bound to them. Later, she makes her move, Carlos awoken by the sounds of a woman sobbing. But his brother doesn't hear it. He does see her though, coming face to face with La Llorona herself. She then takes the boys and drowns them, found dead later by the police near a river. Anna is called to the scene, leaving Chris and Sam in the car, shocked by what happened. And even more so when Patricia arrives, frantically wailing about how she's been trying to protect her children from La Llorona and they're dead now thanks to Anna, then getting dragged away by the officers. Oh, oops, sorry about that. I honestly promise I didn't know it was gonna get your kids killed. I didn't mean to do that. And now that Llorona has taken Patricia's children, it's time to move on to some new ones. Chris randomly decides to get out of the car, I guess to see the scene for himself, but is stopped by the sounds of Llorona crying nearby, huddled in an alley. Seeing him, she begins to speak in Spanish about her children and wanting to take him. But instead of running or doing anything, Chris just stands there. Llorona ghost jumping at him from the shadows, grabbing his arms and marking him just as we saw with Carlos and Tomas. Now Chris belongs to her. Rushing back to the car, she begins to try to get to him, rolling down the windows and unlocking the doors. Chris catching a glimpse of her, but Anna comes back just in time before he's taken. Phew, good timing. Too bad this is all your fault and now your kid is on Llorona's watch list. The next day, Anna returns to Patricia's home, seeing people engaging in a cleansing ritual to ward off bad spirits. There she meets Father Perez, the same father who helped John Form with his evil doll problem a few years prior in the first Annabelle film. Anna asks him about Llorona after hearing Patricia mentioning the name, and Perez knows all about her too, giving a nice backstory dump on her that jives almost perfectly with what was discussed in my previous video on the folktale. Llorona was the most beautiful girl in her village, who married a wealthy rancher, the two having children and living a happy life together until he left her for a younger woman. Men are pigs, causing her to go apeshit and drown her kids, then herself once realizing what she'd done. But because of killing herself, she was not allowed access to the afterlife, damning her spirit to wander the earth for eternity, all pretty much taken right out of the standard version of the folktale. Though unlike the folktale, this Llorona seems to have some kind of weather powers or something, because it's almost constantly raining throughout the movie and it takes place in Los Angeles, where it rains like once a year for 15 minutes. So it's definitely odd that it's raining so much. Must be because of her. And even more impressively, she has wind powers too. She's always blowing curtains around or making rocking horses move on their own. Wind power activate! And it's this same power that she uses to get Sam. Playing outside with her umbrella, as you do, when waving it down, she catches a glimpse of the specter, the wind then blowing the umbrella out of her hand and into the pool. Sam reaches to retrieve it and Llorona appears, grabbing her arm and burning it. Uh-oh, now they're both marked. Trying to understand the situation more, Anna attempts to talk to his still angry Patricia in prison, who maintains she believes it was Anna's fault her children were killed, and admits she didn't pray to God for the boys' salvation, but instead prayed to Llorona to take Anna's kids in exchange for her own. Pretty rude, as this could be what led her to Anna's kids, but I'd still say Patricia is ultimately justified in her feelings. And it's obvious she's not about to let Anna off the hook after what she has taken from her. And now, as we saw earlier with Patricia, the tables begin to turn for Anna. Her co-workers showing up at the house worried about the kids, especially with those odd burns on their arms. The kids lying and saying they fell, which is somehow enough to keep social services off their back for now. I guess it's the 70s, it was probably a lot more lenient back then. Just don't beat your kids too much and then we're okay. Sending the kids to bed, Anna finally gets her first look at the spirit and begins to understand that Patricia wasn't so crazy after all. And only now, for whatever reason, does Anna decide to actually ask her kids if anything strange has been happening. Great parenting as usual. And Chris is like, yeah, obviously dude, I saw a ghost lady and shit, mentioning even hearing Llorona crying in his sister's room, where meanwhile Sam is upstairs all alone in the bath, giving her a perfect opportunity to strike, attempting to drown her in the water. Hearing the commotion, Anna and Chris rush to save her, although when pulling her out, Llorona grabs Anna's arm and burns her, all three now marked, which she seems to need before being able to actually kill someone, and now Anna has joined that ever-exclusive club. She returns to Father Perez for help, and after explaining her situation, he reveals that he too didn't believe in the supernatural until his experiences with Annabelle, and now understands it to be very real. He sends her to a former priest turned paranormal investigator, Raphael, who utilizes a a strange technique involving eggs to determine the presence of the evil spirit in their home. It isn't as simple as moving either, informing them that the spirit will follow them wherever they go after being marked. Thusly, he stays the night to shield the family from her wrath, yet doesn't do so hot at first. The spirit manifesting with the family, throwing Anna into the wall, then going after Chris. Saved by Raphael sprinkling some of Llorona's own collected tears back at her, which burn her and send her away for the moment. Her tears? He's got a vial of her tears? How in the world did he collect those? Whatever. I can't imagine you're just like, hey Laura, you come here and give me the tears. He vows to make extra sure after that to definitely protect the family for real this time, spreading seeds from the same kind of tree near where Llorona drowned herself in a protective barrier around the house. But their plan is quickly foiled by little Sam. Left alone when the others go to cover the back door, she reaches precariously over the barrier for her precious dolly, and of course scoots it right over the cover, scattering the seeds. Instantly, Llorona takes the child, attempting to drown her in the pool. Anna dives in, tussling with the spirit underwater, stopped by a quick-thinking Raphael who blesses the pool with holy water, causing Llorona to disappear, allowing Anna to save Sam, also now clutching another memento from their battle, Llorona's pendant that was given to her by her children hundreds of years ago. Even with her temporarily subdued, someone else re-enters with the kids on their mind. Patricia, who shows up at the house wielding a shotgun, hell-bent on delivering Anna's children to the demon, keeping her and Raphael at gunpoint. Llorona shows up to get the kids, sending them scurrying upstairs to the attic to hide. The others unable to help, or they'll get shot by the still pissed off Patricia. The spirit appears in the attic, moving the objects in the room to push the kids out from their hiding spot. Descending upon them, about to take them both, Chris produces an object that stops her in her tracks, the necklace given to him by Anna, and for a brief moment, Llorona appears as her former human non-monstrous self, until a clumsy Chris accidentally pulls a curtain concealing a mirror, and when seeing her true reflection, Llorona reverts to her evil demeanor, and it looks like it's all over for the kids, until Patricia has a last-minute change of heart, lowering her weapon and allowing Anna and Raphael to spring to the rescue. He goes for the attack, only to get flung away by Llorona, Anna rushing to her children to protect them. Raphael tosses her a special cross, also assembled from the tree that grew next to where Llorona drowned herself and where this all began. Anna plunges it deep into Llorona's chest, and the evil spirit dissipates into a cloud of darkness and disappears, seemingly permanently. The next morning, Raphael bids the family adieu, which would originally have included another more overt reference to the Conjuring series, as they still have Llorona's necklace at the end. Initially, they were to hand it over to Raphael for safekeeping, and he knows exactly who to give it to, mentioning someone he knows who lives on the East Coast and are used to handling this kind of thing, clearly referring to the Warrens, our lead couple of the Conjuring films, who do have a whole room full of such paranormal artifacts. Of course, at some point in the 70s, this entire room is thrown into chaos by Annabelle, as we know in the upcoming Annabelle into House. So it's not exactly the safest place after all. While it does appear that Llorona is vanquished at the end, I don't think so. There is a subtle possibility to her still lingering in the final scene. Anna sends the kids back inside to play, turning around to what looks like a puddle of tears on the sidewalk. This clues us in that she may still be around, as there's still her necklace, which is of much more importance to Llorona, and I think that as long as the necklace is around, she will be as well. Since it was a gift from her children, who are kind of the reason for this whole thing, it makes sense that this object is tied to her spirit, something that isn't out of question when we're talking about the supernatural. If you ask me, she may be done torturing Anna and her children, but she is definitely not gone for good. So we'll see you in a couple years for Llorona Strikes Back, which brings us to the conclusion of our ending explained for The Curse of La Llorona. While certainly on the lower end quality-wise of the Conjuring series, it still provides good jump scares and a memorable villain in the folktale brought to life via Llorona. And sometimes that's enough for a movie like this, even if it doesn't reach the heights of the first two Conjuring films. And the pressure is even higher for the upcoming Conjuring 3, whose directorial reins were handed off from original mastermind James Wan to the director of this film, Michael Chavez. So let's hope the script is better on the next one, because Chavez does have the chops to execute a good jump scare. Just need a little more meat on the bone in every other aspect. What did you guys think of The Curse of La Llorona and its ending? Where do you think it ranks in the Conjuring series? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching Found Flicks. See you next time.